My name is Susan Maddox, and I serve as Executive Team Leader for Friends of the Future, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're based in Waimea, and we've been around now for about 25 years. I'm really pleased to be able to talk with you this morning about Envision Maunakea. I appreciate the time. As Greg mentioned, there's a handout in your packet, but for those of you who are here in the audience, Envision Maunakea is really a process that began probably more than a year ago with several people who were observing the interactions and conversations related to Mauna Kea and really feeling a need to be able to change the tenor of the conversation and to also broaden the perspectives, because there are a lot of different uses in Mauna Kea. And so those individuals, as they were talking with their colleagues and friends in their networks, gradually came to be connected and really decided to look at collaborating to see what might be possible. And those conversations have progressed over the last several months. And out of that came what's known as the Envision Maunakea process. It is meant to be a community-driven initiative or oriented initiative to really solicit the comments and input and dreams and wishes for Mauna Kea now and in the future from a wide variety of people, not just the loud voices in the room. And so our function is to do just that, to create safe places and spaces where people can share their deepest hopes and dreams in really facilitated listening sessions, so that we, one, respect people's time and keep the conversations productive, but also so we accurately capture what people want to share. We're going to do that in several steps. The first is to be able to engage a variety of individuals from around the island to serve on what's called the Auka group, to receive the information that will come from a number of listening sessions around the island, and really try to elevate the conversation to look at not only today, but what might Mauna Kea look like in 100 years. And so we really believe that out of that process will come a great deal of valuable information and insights and stories that can then be shared with the various government agencies, regulatory agencies, and the community in general to really look at long-term planning for the future of the mountain. Our role as Friends of the Future is actually as the convener of those sessions. So we'll work on the logistics. We will keep track of all of the meeting proceeds and serve as the archive for that. We'll also continue working with the basic working group and the AHA to really make sure that all of the information that's captured is captured accurately and then forwarded for those various planning purposes. We expect that the process will take about a year, those of us who are optimistic. I actually, from my own perspective, am deeply invested in this because Friends of the Future actually grew out of conversations with a diverse group of people with varying perspectives. And once they could find something in common, that helped bridge their differences. And it's in that moment where really paths forward and differing perspectives are able to really look for solutions. That, in a nutshell, is Envision Maunakea. I'm happy to take comments or questions.
You mentioned Auka. So what are some, I'm not clear and asking for clarification on some of the cultural protocols part of the Auka. Or did you folks develop that? Where are you folks with that?
I would say it's developing. We know that as a group we would really want to have individuals from a wide perspective of not only skills but knowledge from around the island, and people who really have the time and the commitment, dedication to the process, because it will be time consuming and intensive for them, but also people who see paths forward, who look for solutions. So a lot of that, the mechanics of making those selections are yet to be determined.
And it's profound, yeah, especially coming from the community. Can I ask you, what is your personal vision for Mauna Kea?
My personal vision is for it to remain a place that anchors this island, and for people from all cultures to be able to have a deeper understanding and to embrace all of the gifts that it provides to us. I don't have a preconceived notion of what ought or ought not to be there. And I think that that speaks to my experience with Friends of the Future, because our role is not predetermined. Our role is to be able to bring forth other people's visions and dreams.
And maybe the third is, what is the role of our board here in regards to Envision?
You can pass that to me. Little background, okay? As Susan indicated, this effort started with a bunch of separate conversations by many of us over a year ago. And I'll just speak for myself. My role started as wearing just my own independent hat as a resident of this island, knowing that we had to change the conversation. Doug had started his own conversation amongst his community as well. In terms of a formal role for the Maunakea Management Board, we are trying to support this being, I'm trying to support this being a community-informed, community-based kind of initiative. So from the board's perspective, there's no formal role, though obviously the information that comes forward will be very important for us and for the Office of Maunakea Management on a number of things, including the updating of the comprehensive management plan that we still need to do. So the input will be very, very, very important. You know, Doug or Steph, you guys want to comment?
So Greg's captured very well, I think, the board's role is, and that is for the time being to be aware of the process. I would love to have, maybe an interim report from Susan as the process is rolling forward, and then whatever emerges from this whole process as representatives of the community, factor that into our recommendations in the CMP and other things. So that's kind of it. There's no explicit role for the board in this other than just be aware of it. And I liked your answer to the very good question of, like, what's your vision? I couldn't have said it better myself. I don't know where this is going to end, to tell you the truth. We just don't know. But we feel very strongly that these conversations need to happen, that people need to have, very open-hearted, meaningful conversations with each other. And this is very much, a process that's by and of the community. It's all, we're putting effort into it on our own for a range of reasons. For me, it's completely voluntary. So I'm really eager to see the community participate, at least in terms of awareness of it, to help it out. And as we roll forward with the whole program, learn from the process in ways that we simply haven't been able to, because these sorts of conversations haven't been, facilitated by a group like Friends of the Future. By the way, I have a tremendous amount of respect for what they've done, and I think it's a great organization, and I have very strong support for Susan and what they're going to do to help our community heal, I hope, through this process.
In essence, I love the empowerment of our community. Sometimes governmental pieces, sometimes clutter, our plates, especially and blurring our vision in regards to what is Pono at all times. So the empowerment of our communities is always going to be, for me, I want to see more of those things. I think it's going to be important if we're talking about periodical reports back to the board, who is actually participating in this, so that we have clearly an understanding of the wide range of participants, especially knowing that we have about 30-something that have been part of the case itself. We want to make sure those voices are heard. Especially, I'm hearing again now that that information will be used as part of the comprehensive plan redoing. So I think that's an important piece. It's just moving pieces. And sometimes a puzzle piece falls on the floor and we forget to pick up the puzzle piece. We want to make sure we check around, put them so we have a nice nice mural, yeah, of what we're trying to do here. But mahalo to you.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Harry.
Well, my name is Dwight Vicente. The piece of the puzzle that's actually on the ground that should have been picked up is the Hawaiian Kingdom. I think the mountain is designated Crown Lands, and it's the prerogative of the reigning crown to decide what to do with the mountain, not any individual or foreigner or what have you. And if you look at the lease that they're relying on, it's based on the proclamation of Governor Fear. Governor Fear is an appointed governor under the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. That ordinance has no jurisdiction over this kingdom. Gives the United States nothing. United States remain 13 states. They don't have 50 like they've been claiming. It's all false. So just remember who the mountain belongs to. It's designated Crown Lands.
Thank you. Duly noted. Any other comments, questions? Harry, you wanted to?
Just like hearing what they say today, I just want to thank all of you folks who participate in these. I have one question. Everybody in this room, when this board was put together, the Maunakea Management Board, how many of you or people participated in the program? Okay, thank you. I've been with that for the beginning, and I know communication, and it's like the lihua, because the community is all there. I think now we're at a place and looking at Envision, Maunakea, and all that, and what he said, I support that, because for me, it's the generation for the future, and hearing what we're doing today at this meeting, I think we're gonna pick up all the puzzles, pick up all the pieces that fell down. I think we got half of that in there. So hopefully we can get the rest to participate. And I just wanted to thank you because you say you want people participating from the whole island. And we started with the district, so it's great that we're doing it. Just wanted to make sure that when the next generation starts and move forward, this plan will be in place, or a plan will be in place that everybody participated, and especially the kupunas who have their families or history. It's very important that they be in this program also, so that we know everything is about or what's going to happen. So I just want to take.
Just one more comment.
Sure.
And I the question that I asked in terms of your vision, sometimes we forget that the individualism is a representative of the collectivism. Yeah, and so that's why I asked, what is your vision? Because as an individual part of this, yeah, you do know there's a heavy role in Kuleana in regards to making sure that the collective is being heard, like what Auka was saying as well. And so that's what I hope people accountable for. Yeah, and that's what you're charged with, yeah, because sometimes our individual voice may not necessarily be a true representative of the collective.
Yes, and it's important that all voices have an opportunity to speak, the loud ones and the quiet ones and the silent ones.
And I just wanted to say, everything that we do is about money or funding, budget, and all that. I just wanted to be sure that Doug gave an important thing that I heard today, that is serving and giving time, donating your time. I think if you donate your time, you put money aside, it works better when it works from your heart. So I really appreciate that, and I'm really concerned about the next generation, because it's very important. And then for the brother over there, what he's saying, if they're doing the same thing like what we're doing now, your group or whoever participating, a group of your group participating and organizing, invite me to your group. I really like here, or if you by yourself with your family, you by yourself, one man, Lone Ranger. Okay. So maybe we can talk sometime.
Great.
Thank you.
Question?
I just wanted to know if we, where we could find more information, just so that, like, if I wanted to get other community members involved in this and wanted to let them know what your guys' vision is or what you guys are planning to do up there, where could I get more information to show them that?
There is a website that is just now coming online, which is envisionmaunakea.org. We will keep that updated and changing. We're also looking at various ways to be able to communicate. It is important to us that the process be transparent and that people know exactly where they can get information and how they can participate.
Yes, Harry.
Another question. Can you get youths, like youths of that, like what he just said, to be part of this group too, so we can know their thinking of the future, and if they're really listening to us, things like that.
Most definitely. There will be at least one, if not two, student voices particularly, but that AHA will be a wide range of ages because we do believe that it's important to learn from the past, be in the present, but also plan for the future, and that next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that. So, yes, most definitely.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, kind of piggybacking off both of them, was just how will you be determining who's going to be on these AHA? Like, do they need, if they're going to be community members, are you just going to have an application process for community members, or do they need to have certain background specifications?
There will be an application process, and it will be pretty rigorous, not only in terms of trying to be equitable around the island and in differing types of skills and expertise and perspectives. It'll be equally important on the other side that the individuals understand that this will be a really time-intensive process, and it is a process for looking for a way forward. It's really the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to really deeply listen and hear what it is that they have to say, and be able to transfer that accurately.
And then just how big do you think these AHA are going to be? Like the boards throughout the island?
The AHA itself, we think, will probably be between 12 and 15 people. The listening sessions, the number, we're looking at 8 to 10, but that could expand. I think one of the things that's important to understand is that it's called a process. And so as we receive input and as we see how things are rolling out and where there's a need for more or less, we will adapt to be able to do that.
Sorry, one last question. How will you be disseminating information about this? And I ask this because there in the past have been community outreach events where the community didn't really know, and it was just kind of a targeted community. So I just wanted to see how you're going to do that.
Well, certainly the website will continue to change. We've talked about the opportunity to do a newsletter and different ways to disseminate that. There obviously are also a lot of different organizations around the island, and to be able to look for ways to share information that way. The website will probably be the most universal, but all of those other options are also available.
About involving the community, that's, to me, honestly, I feel that it's kind of long overdue to involve the community. We always talk about the next generation. It's all for the next generation. So there's a lot of issues right now that we're bringing up with like TMT and stuff. And it's all about for the next generation, the future of STEM education. I went to UH Hilo, educated in STEM, bachelor's in molecular biology, master's in tropical conservation biology, and I teach at UH. And to me, I looked through all my emails, there was no involvement of the community back then. So we're a little overdue for that. And we're always talking about for the next generation. I was the next generation back then, and I wasn't involved. And to me, that's kind of disheartening to see that this whole process is a little flawed, because we're always talking about involving the next generation, getting the community involved, doing it for the next generation, but I wasn't involved. I wasn't aware. And I went through my emails. I don't delete my emails, and I go through it, and
I get 2 emails about TMT after the fact, like after it's already like we're passing things through, and to me it's a little disheartening because we're trying to perpetuate unique opportunities, educational opportunities, but I didn't get the memo. But I've been involved deeply in the community. I do STEM education, I do outreach where we bridge culture and science. Like I've been part of those things for a very long time, and to me, like I feel like this is it's a little late, and right now we're doing patchwork, and I feel like there's a lot of groundwork to make up for. So like to me, like how are you involving the community? Like I feel like even these meetings right now, like I feel like the community should be involved in with this. If we're managing Maunakea, like I feel like UH shouldn't have the say to what to do, because I feel like all we're gonna do is keep building on it. And I feel like we need to get the community involved. And for starters, like this little room away from campus, away from the educated young Native Hawaiian minds that you guys are trying to help, move it to campus to a bigger room. UH is full of empty rooms right now. Like this meeting could be in a bigger room. We could get involved more of the community, because I keep hearing next generation, next generation, next generation. I was the next generation that was avoided. And to me, like that's really disheartening. So I feel like to move this conversation down, to spread this out more. Like I don't even get emails I used to get emails about these meetings because I signed up, and all of a sudden I stopped getting emails. So I don't get the agendas, but I get all the PR. I get a bunch of PRs, like they picked up thousands of bags of trash from the roadsides. Like I get those kind of things, but I don't get these meetings. And I feel like if you really want to involve the community, if you really want to involve the next generation, you need to get out with the next generation and try to involve them, because that seems to be a big topic right now. Like get the next generation involved by moving these conversations into the community and not targeted community.
Thank you. I can't speak to anyone else's process. I can only speak to this one starting. And this is an opportunity for you to be actively engaged. And I would encourage you to do that. Our particular process, or Friends of the Future's process, has never been proprietary, and we have always done whatever we could to get information out. So this project will start from that same foundation and process. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I do understand that when we always talk about the future generation, sometimes we forget about today's generation. They're all important, and all of the perspectives are critical to this particular process. Yes. Yes. Duly noted. Thank you.
Great.
Friends of the Future, is it a community group, a nonprofit, a for-profit? Do you have funding sources? Do you have staff? And for this project, is there funding, and who would be doing that funding?
Okay. There you go. Friends of the Future was founded in 1988 through a series of conversations similar to what we're talking about with this process. The founder was Kenneth Brown, who was at that point the chair of Queens Health System's Bishop Museum. He was on a number of other boards. A Native Hawaiian, his family lands are at Maunalani. And he watched the world speed up, and he watched Hawaii be in the center of the world. And he really wanted to establish an organization that was not an institution. He wanted it to be able to support work from the community. So in our entire history, we have never physically started a program. We have nurtured more than 60 of them, which were generally people who found their way to us, who were looking for an organizational home, sort of the back of the house, insurance, payroll, personnel, management, those kinds of things, so that the people could do the work they really wanted to do in the community. Over that period of time, 12 of those organizations or those projects have actually become their own nonprofits. They gained sufficient strength and support, both personnel-wise and community-wise, where they were able to go out on their own. To answer the funding question, we're funded by a number of different sources. We have some of our programs are funded with state contracts where they're working with families. Some of our programs are funded through grants. Some are funded through donations, and some are a combination of that. Some of the programs are large and have our 21st Century Learning Center programs have about 25 employees. Others are very small. They may have a single, and some are completely volunteer driven. So it really depends on what the project is and what its mission is, how that works. There are several funding sources for it. They are through University of Hawaii Institute for Astronomy is one of the funders. The observatories have provided some funding. There are other funding sources, and there will be an opportunity for anyone who wants to support the initiative, if they believe in it and can see its potential, that they'll be able to donate as well.
Institute for Astronomy. Yeah, yeah.
Just had one more question. Do you guys follow some sort of cultural guidelines as well for this Envision Maunakea program that you guys are creating? And if so, like, can you give like a summary of what those guidelines are?
I would say that they are unfolding as we go through this process. We're really looking to, or I'm looking to, members of the AHA to help inform that. I think it will probably be a combination of things. Not all of our sessions will be all cultural in nature. So I think we have to be open to all of the perspectives of people and what it is that they really want to share with us.
So you mentioned that UH Institute for Astronomy and the observatories are funding this. Are there any obligations to these organizations, or do they have any requests or expectations to come out of this because
No.
they're funding it?
Because we forget.
Everyone's agreeing that it is well past time to have these hard conversations, and they're all understanding that we don't have a predetermined outcome for this. The intention is to really gather true, meaningful information.
But I think the question is, that's why I asked that question, because the perception in the community may be that, yeah, in working with the University of Hawaii. And I think I totally, mahalo again for what you've done. I think we have to be careful because of what has transpired over the past year in regards to a person's stance and the relationship of that stance to the person surrounding as well. Yeah, and so maybe the other question, because again, the community discussion with Envision is, are there any community groups, other community groups that are having these discussions as a community? We know what Envision is doing, we know what Judge Amano is doing. Are there anybody kukain out there in regards to trying to get those multiple voices? Because I'm sure when the comprehensive plan is taken look at, yeah, we're going to take Envision, mahalo for your manao, boom, Judge Amano, Makai. Anybody else out there that's doing those kind of kuka sections?
Not that I'm aware of, and that's what makes this one unique. I mean, clearly there are groups out there who are packaging and advocating for specific proposals that they've developed, but we've not heard of anybody supporting a process like this. We have been able to get endorsements from community members, and maybe Susan can speak to that, who we've talked about this process to, and they've come forward and endorsed the process.
So above and beyond Envision and Amano's work, then the board will also need to solicit community responses as well beyond these pieces. Yeah, we're not just collecting and saying this is what we have and putting together. I'm just trying to make sense of the process of the comprehensive plan. Is that my understanding? That any additional information we need out there in the community is going to be our kuleana to do so.
I think as a board, that's part of our role, is to represent the community. Yeah, this does not substitute for that. Yeah.
I do think it's possible that as we go through listening sessions, though, and in different communities where communities may say, you know, we've also had this discussion, or this group is having this discussion, and to me, just being able to be aware of that and then to be able to collaborate with that is important. That's part of this process as well.
And I do want to maybe, if I can address your question, mahalo no kumanao, yeah? is the scheduling of our meetings, and if we can take a look at the scheduling and where the schedulings are, because I think that's also an important piece, yeah? And I know, Stephanie, you do a good job in getting the information out to at least the board members, yeah, mahalo to Don, yeah, but how else are we reaching out to the critical mass beyond just what we have here? Yeah, and I think those are kind of the things that if we prepare now for the next school year, at least for me, that's what I need, then I think we'll be able to kind of see, get the turnout and hear those silenced voices sometimes come forward. But manao malino.
Thank you. Okay. No other comments?